Hi. She's alive. She's back. Yeah, so I've survived my depression. It's still there. We're still fighting, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before. And I have been on a single dad nanny romance kick. I'm in the middle of Caught Up by Liz Tomford, which is a baseball romance. Each of her books have followed a different sport. I think the first one was hockey, and then there's basketball, and now we're in baseball. And I've laughed so much, and I'm only 40% of the way through. Oh, say hello to that large zit on the side of my face. I'm trying to leave it alone and not pick at it, but anyway. That's Larry. I named him. Anyway, I've been really enjoying myself. I wasn't sure that I was going to like this one because I had a little bit of a hard time with the second book. I say hard time. I think I still gave it 4 or 5 stars, actually. Probably 4 because I'm very stingy with my 5-star reads, if we're being honest. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue the series, but it popped up on my Kindle. I'm in the mood for a nanny romance, and this is a nanny romance. So, it is starring our star baseball player, Kai Rhodes, who's in his 30s, actually, which is definitely older for a pitcher. At the end of book 2, suddenly becomes a single father. A girl he was just casually seeing when he was in Seattle, when he was playing baseball up there, found out she was pregnant after he got traded to Chicago, didn't tell him. Her intentions were good. She didn't want him to think that she was trying to trap him or whatever. But 6 months in, realizes motherhood's not for her, travels to Chicago, drops the baby off, and is like, hello, you're a daddy. Congratulations, this is your baby. And he doesn't trust any of the nannies he's had. Most of them barely make it a week, maybe 2 weeks, gets rid of them. And now he's at his wit's end, or he's not at his wit's end, the coach is at his wit's end. His coach, who's also a single dad, but his daughter's a full-grown adult now, understands what he's going through, has tried to help him, and basically tells him, hey, my daughter's home for the summer doing work gigs, so, like, she's going to watch your kid, and, like, you're going to deal with it, because we can't deal with you getting rid of every nanny, and, like, most of them are not for, like, safety causes or whatever, it's just because you don't like them, so, like, you're going to deal with this. Anyway, he immediately thinks Coach's daughter's hot. Coach's daughter immediately thinks he's hot. There's banter. She calls him hot every other page. It's, you would think it was annoying, but she's, like, clever about it, and it's not, like, an immediate, hey, like, let's jump into bed together, although that's clearly where this is going. But it's more of, like, he's so uptight, and she's, like, trying to get him to, like, chill a little bit, that she's just digging at him just to, like, kind of make fun of him. And it's been fun so far. I am a little sad that his kid is still so young in this book, because one of my favorite parts of nanny romances is when you watch, like, the kids kind of have breakthroughs with the nanny, or, like, feel very supported, especially when it's, like, a single parent romance when the other parent's not in the picture at all. And so I'm a little sad that we're not getting that, but they're making up for it in other dynamics. So it's been a good time. So I'm going to read a little bit more, and then I will check in with you. Hi, I never came back yesterday and updated you, but I also feel like I didn't really read much last night. I sat down on the couch, I ate dinner, I turned on some postseason baseball, and that held my attention for quite a bit. So I did read some more of Caught Up today. I'm on this says 22, but that actually isn't right. I need to sync this because I was reading on my phone a little bit when I got back from work, and I'm actually on chapter 24. Halfway through, actually almost exactly the halfway point, and we have had multiple action scenes, if you will, in a romance sense. Yeah, main characters have finally given in, and they've, funnily enough, like, there was this moment in the kitchen a couple chapters ago, and then, like, they just didn't keep going, and now they're, like, on a trip. They have a baseball game in Boston, and they're, like, away in Boston, and the main character's brother took the kid for the night, and he was like, I have a night alone with her, and I'm finally gonna make the plunge, and he did. And so now we're in the morning after, and she was reeling the night before because she's a very no strings attached kind of girly, and he's a man with a lot of strings. Yeah, I don't know, honestly, what's going to happen for the next 45%. Obviously, like, I haven't read it, so, like, I don't know. But I just mean, like, romances are typically formulaic. And there's something about Liz Tomford's books where, like, I often like enjoy them while they're happening. I'm having a good time, and sometimes I rate them, I think, a little higher than I should when I'm done because I had a good time. But I'm having this moment right now, and I don't know if it's because I watched Olivia from Olivia Reads Lattes. I watched a video of hers on my lunch break today, and she was reading either The Right Move or the other one, which I can't remember the other one. But she was reading one of them, and she got to about the halfway point, and she's like, do I care about these people at all? And, like, do I want to know what happens next? Like, I know what happens next because it's a romance and it's a happily ever after, but, like, they're already together, and, like, you know the main source of conflict, like, literally the whole time of the book, which sometimes is fine, but I just feel like Liz rarely takes it to the next level where I still care about that conflict, if that makes sense. So, for example, like I said, Miller's very no strings attached girl. She is an incredible pastry chef, has won a James Beard Award, which, if you know anything about cooking, is incredible. And she actually has a wait list of Michelin star rated restaurants that want her to come in, fix their dessert menus, take them to the next step with that, and maybe help them earn a Michelin star if they don't have one, or another one if they already do. And she's feeling burnt out, and she decided to, well, she didn't just say she decided to. She knew she was going to take the summer off. You know that, like, kind of in the beginning of the book, but she didn't know she was going to stick around Chicago and hang out with the baseball team that her dad coaches. But, like, you know that the whole time. So obviously, like, that's going to be a part of the conflict later, whether or not there's an actual third act breakup. But, like, there's going to be a third act conflict because it's a romance and there always is some sort of conflict. And I know that's what's going to happen. He's going to want her to stay. She's going to say she needs to go. She's going to secretly want to stay. And by secretly, I mean she's not going to tell him. But in her heart, she knows she's going to want to stay. And then they're going to make up and then she's going to stay. And I'm like, do I want to keep going? Like, I'm not having a bad time reading it. I have laughed out loud multiple times. The first time in the kitchen, when they were making out in the kitchen, like 30 pages ago, was great. The sex scene, it wasn't weird, but it just like... it just kind of felt like, okay, like, this is what you're supposed to be doing right now, I guess. And I just don't... ugh. I want more. I don't know. Maybe I need to take a romance break. Normally in fall, I try to read some more fantasy or thrillers or mysteries or just something different to help myself prevent this from happening. Because I've literally been looking forward to this book literally all year. I should be excited to read this right now, and I'm just not. You know what? I think I do know what my problem is. I think my problem is Elsie Silver. I say that because I've read... this is the third single dad nanny romance that I've read in the last 4 weeks. Maybe not even that long ago. A couple weekends ago, binged the first 3 books in the Chestnut Spring series, I think it's called. It's the Hopeless, Heartless, and... Powerless, I think. I always get them mixed up. But I read the first 3, queued up the 4th one on my Kindle, and then was like, nah, I don't want to have a book hangover because I know Reckless is probably going to be tied for my favorite. I don't think anything will top Heartless, but she handled that, like, she handles conflict so well in that book that it makes it, like, you care about the fact that, like, the conflict is happening and you can see it a mile away. And sometimes she straight up tells you in the first, like, 100 pages what the major conflict of the book is. But she develops the characters so well that you care. And I think that's why I'm not connecting with Miller and Kai as much in Caught Up. Mostly Miller. I'm struggling with her. And I think it's because it's not super rare, but somewhat rare to have the female main character be the one that doesn't want to put down roots. Like, normally it's the guy, and then he comes around because the girl changes him or whatever. And, like, I'm all for, you know, gender bending roles or whatever. I don't really care about it from that perspective. It's the fact that, like, she's written, weirdly enough, as emptily as male main characters can be when they have that role. And normally we learn so much about the female main character and her wants and desires and her trying to temper her feelings for something that's supposed to be casual or whatever. And we're getting some of that from Kai's perspective, but there's just not a ton of depth there because he already had his own shit to work through, and it doesn't feel like he's working through it through the book. And I think because there isn't that development in a purposeful way, because there's like surface level shit. Like, he goes out one night with the team, and he never would have done that before he had his son. And, like, he spontaneously took her to, like, a bakery while they're on this trip. And, like, that kind of stuff is different than what he would have done. But it's not, like, groundbreaking for him. It's just him learning to trust the people who were already supporting him all along. And I think because there hasn't been any major breakthroughs for him, and because there's really no development on her end, that's why it's falling flat for me. So am I gonna DNF this book? I won't say I don't like DNFing books, because I usually have no problem. Like, if I don't like something, I will literally put it down. I think why I'm struggling with this is because, number one, I've been looking forward to it for so long. Number two, Miller's dad, Monty, is like my favorite side character. I love this man down. He's great. And it's funny when he shows up in scenes. I think that might be the other part, too, is that he's kind of meddling in their relationship, but their lack of relationship, because he wants Miller to stay around permanently. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know, man. All the dynamics are there that should be there for me to enjoy this. And yet, something's missing. It's like a rounded meal, but it doesn't have enough salt. And, like, I can't sprinkle salt on top for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's time to switch gears.
So good. I love these editions of classics. However, my absolute favorite spine sits on one of my favorite books, and it is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry.
On Friday, Candy Steiner's Watch Your Mouth came out, which is the second book in this new hockey series she started over the summer. I like this one way better than the first one. And I liked the first book, but I don't know what it is about Candy Steiner, but the second book in her series always slapped the hardest. Like, just always. So I'm really enjoying this one. This one's about Jackson and Grace. Jackson is a defensive lineman on this Florida hockey team. And Grace is the little sister of their star rookie, whose name was Vince, I think. Interesting name for like a 20-something-year-old kid, but whatever. Anyway, she shows up at the end of the last book in tears at her brother's door while some of the team is like already coming over. And so Jackson runs into her there, and they had met earlier in the first book when they were celebrating like their Stanley Cup win or whatever. And he was instantly attracted to her, but then realizes like, oh shit, this is my teammate's little sister. So like obviously, this is why you should lock your standing desk. Oopsies. Okay, anyway, he realizes that she's Vince's little sister, so obviously she's immediately off limits because you can't date your teammate's friend or whatever, or sister. But when she comes back after this breakup and she's all upset, he sneaks off to talk to her and kind of comfort her, and he's like, hey, like, do you want to go on a drive tomorrow? Thinking like, let's just go drive up the Florida coast, like, you can clear your head, whatever. And she's like, road trip? And he's like, yeah, sure, a road trip. And like, he like impromptu agrees. So we're following them on this road trip, and the chemistry is crazy. I really like her. This feels kind of like Play With Me by Becca Mack, but instead of the star player's little sister feeling, I don't want to say that they don't both feel inadequate, but like Jenny was really insecure, and she had a bunch of other things going on that made the tone of that book a bit more sad. In this one, Grace is like a firecracker, and when she's feeling a lot of negative feelings, she always kind of flips to the bright side in a way to kind of just deal with that and move on and get people to like redirect instead of kind of focusing on it too much. And Jackson like does not let her get away with that, and I really enjoy the fact that he does not let her stay in her bullshit, to be honest. So it's quite nice. She's kind of starting to do the same thing for him, so I'm interested to see how that dynamic goes. I'm about halfway through. Her brother still doesn't know that she's, messing around with his friend, so we'll see if anything comes of that. I'm sure something will happen, but right now we're at the morning after mind-blowing sex, and she's just bought a bunch of pork rinds at the gas station, so yeah, we'll see if anything comes of, obviously something's going to happen, but I just don't know what the ultimate conflict is going to be here, other than the fact that she's very nomadic, and he obviously has to stay in one place for hockey. He's about to have to report back for preseason, and the conflict of her brother. But, I don't know what, if they will have an internal relationship conflict. And maybe there won't be a third act breakup. Who knows? But I'm interested to see where this goes. I really enjoy the fact that there's a good balance of external factors. Like his dad's a complete asshole because he never really dealt with the trauma of breaking his back in hockey and ending his career prematurely, and he takes it out on his son and has filtered all his dreams for him. And then she has issues, like I said, being the star player's little sister. She's very proud of her brother. She wants all the good things for him, but I think she has taken this role of the second child who is the quote-unquote, like, easy child. Like, her parents keep making these comments when they come up, like, oh, we never have to worry about you, like, our little adventurer. And all she wants is so desperately for someone to worry about her and for her to be someone's priority. And so I like that we're getting glimpses of both of those things, but they're not overtaking the story or overtaking each of them. They're just kind of sprinkling in a little bit every couple of chapters here or so, and you just get to kind of peel back the onion of who that person is. We're going to keep going with Watch Your Mouth. Look at this cover. Look at that. Solid cover. Anyway, gonna keep reading this for a little bit. I'm actually going to probably watch a little bit of YouTube right now. I've been trying to declutter my apartment. It's not going very well, to be quite honest, and I think I just need to, like, take a stimulus break from that a little bit, do this, maybe crochet a little bit, and then I'll pick that book up and update you guys here in a little bit. Good morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello. I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I think I'm going to throw some apples in the oven for a little baked apple crumble situation. And then I'm going to continue reading Watch Your Mouth by Candy Steiner because I'm having a very good time with it. We've progressed in the road trip from them staying on their reserved sides of the car to, well, he tickled her before. But, like, there's this scene where, like, she picks up random snacks from the gas station. And he's, like, commenting about how American chocolate is inferior to Canadian chocolate. He's from Canada. And, like, he tickles her or whatever. And then after, instead of pulling his arm back onto his side, he, like, tucks his hand into, like, her thigh. And he's, like, holding her or whatever. And he's like, I can't believe I'm doing this. What am I doing? I'm going to be in so much trouble by the end of this. And, yeah, you can definitely tell, like, we're going to be in for, like a big blow up once everybody finds out that they're together, for sure. And you know what? I can't wait for that because I was saying in the last clip that I wasn't sure what the third act, like, conflict was going to be. Like, obviously, like, the obvious ones, like, her brother's going to find out he's going to be pissed, but more so for them in themselves, she just has a lot of insecurity about being chosen. And he has some issues with his parents, and I think they're actually going to go road trip up to Canada and to see his small town, and he's a little nervous about that. But, so there will be conflict with his dad, I'm sure. But what I am most excited about, honestly, is to watch him choose her, because she's always so sad about not being chosen, and I want her to be chosen because she seems like a great person. I enjoy her character a lot. So I'm going to make a cup of coffee, sit down, read, and I will talk to y'all later. I'm so annoyed. This camera overheats so easily when my heat is on, and my heat wasn't even on anything high, but I think the combination of that and me preheating the oven for that apple crumble definitely set it off. So apologies for missing the clips. Insert cute photo here of before oven, after oven. I'm making a bacon, egg, and cheese because that apple crisp has to be in there for an hour. Didn't know that. Also, drink your water, kids. I'm sitting here, I'm like, why do I feel awful? And I haven't had any water this morning at all. Had to have a cup of coffee, though, because of course I did. So, haven't read anything. I've been cleaning up the kitchen post apple crumble mess, so there are all my dishes from that. Watching a Chandler Ainsley video because duh, and then waiting on this to finish browning. So, after this is done cooking, I am going to sit, drink some water, eat my sandwich, and update you later. Hi, so I had to change. That long sleeve shirt was killing me. I was getting so sweaty, but now I'm cold, so I don't know. I finished Watch Your Mouth by Candy Steiner. This is so good. I don't know what it is about her second book in the series, but shit always slaps. Always slaps. This was phenomenal. I loved it. 10 out of 10 recommend. There were so many fun things. Grace was a little firecracker. I absolutely loved her energy throughout the entire book. I really liked how her and Jackson, like, instantly could read each other. It's always fun when you meet somebody and you get along with them, but you also can, like, see through their own protective bullshit, like, immediately, and just kind of see what's going on with them. And she definitely had that with him. And I really enjoyed that aspect of their relationship. It is kind of insta-lovey, like, they're on a road trip for, like, a month, and they're saying I love you by the end of it, which is whatever. But it didn't feel super rushed or super forced because of the amount of vulnerable, intimate conversations we saw them have with each other about things that mattered. I think where a lot of people don't love insta-love is because you don't get that side of it. Now, would I tell someone that I love them after a month of being with them, even if I had all those conversations? No, but this isn't real, and these people don't exist, so, whatever. Yeah, it was really fun. There was only a little bit of hockey in it, so if you are a person who is iffy about sports romances, maybe this is a good one for you, where it's like there's just a little dash of the sport in there versus it being mostly, them revolving around hockey games, because this does primarily happen in their off season. What else did I really like about this? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say without, like, spoiling it. Oh, the third act conflict was great. That actually is becoming one of my, I guess, favorite vices for a third act conflict. I won't say what it is because that would also spoil some other things, but it honestly probably should have been more obvious to me that was likely going to happen. There was a foreshadowing moment to it, but for whatever reason, I just didn't think anything of it. But I also think I applied my own thoughts and biases to it. So I just didn't think anything of it. But the thing that happened, I enjoyed. Not that it happened to them, but like the way it was handled and all of that. So there's a third act conflict. There's no third act breakup. And I also really enjoyed that her brother kind of got over them being together very quickly. It wasn't the smoothest of things to deal with, but I did appreciate the way it got fixed and how quickly, like, it was literally like 2 scenes basically, and they were like back-to-back scenes. And I did really enjoy that because one of the things that sometimes is hard for me with Brothers Best Friends books is that the brother often just doesn't see his sister, see her as an adult who can make her own decisions. And he acknowledged that, like, when that was brought up to him, of like, yeah, I know she's an adult now, but, like, I so often see her still as that, little 10-year-old I need to protect, which is, like, a valid feeling, right? Especially when you're an older sibling, I totally get that. But I just appreciated that he didn't drag that out, and as soon as he could see that their feelings for each other were so real, like, he doesn't like it, obviously, initially, and he's, like, grossed out when they, like, kiss in front of him or whatever, but he just wasn't an asshole about it, and he just had that, what I think is a realistic response of like, okay, like you very clearly care about her, so like I'm not maybe okay with it in this moment, but I will learn to be okay with it, and I really appreciated that. And I also loved that they both really pressed each other to deal with the emotionally conflicting things that had nothing to do with each other. So Grace really encouraged Jackson to create some boundaries with his parents, and he really encouraged her to be more open with her family and just in general with herself about when she's feeling negatively about something, because she has spent so much of her time being the people pleaser and the fixer and the like happy-go-lucky girl that like even if she in a moment is disappointed in something, she doesn't let herself feel it. And so being able to see them work through that was really great as well. So anyway, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Can't wait for the next one. Candy Steiner's busting these out. When I ended this book, there was a sneak peek into what I assume is like the first chapter of the next book. And it's going to be called Learn Your Lesson, and it's going to focus around a guy that they affectionately call Daddy P on the team. His name's Will Perry. And his backstory is that his wife passed away, so now he's like the sole caretaker for his like 4 or 5-year-old daughter. And he can't keep a nanny. Either like finds ones that are like too old and they just can't keep up with the energy that his daughter has, or they're like younger, but the only reason they're her nanny is because they're trying to get with him and he's like not about it. So we got a sneak peek of that chapter, and it was her kindergarten teacher dropping her off at the rink because she just didn't know what else to do because the nanny never showed up. And so that'll be fun. Single dad nanny tropes are one of my favorite topics, so we'll see how that goes. That's coming out. It says March 15th, 2024, which is less than 6 months away. Who knows if that date will stay? Maybe it'll shift a little bit, but I'm excited for that. So I think I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching and for tuning in all the way through this and my haphazard clips as I get used to vlogging again. So yeah, I will see you in another video soon. Goodbye.